There we go. So tell me a little bit about what you're working on and what you do. It sounds like you have quite the interesting career.
I'm a very lucky guy. Well, I am a 14-year-old trapped in an older dude's body. So I've had a very hard time growing up. So I decided to use it in my favor. So I write and illustrate children's books. I create little animations for kids. I work with terminally ill kids and kids who are going through trauma to use creativity to help them manage whatever they may be going through at the time. So really, in essence, I'm a story farmer. I grow stories, whether it's using illustrations, words, or pictures, photographs. That's
Wow.
my job.
And how did you get into that?
Oh, goodness. I loved doodling when I was a little kid. I doodled in all my books. I doodled everywhere. And it made me feel good to do it. I used to get spanked for doodling, which is kind of interesting because I listen better when I doodle. And in fact, while we were waiting today, I was doodling in my little journal, and I can show you an example of what my little doodle journal looks like. So
Wow.
it's drawings and silly little things.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's gorgeous.
So I started drawing when I was a little kid, but I found that when I did speak to kids, and I didn't try to be an adult, I just tried to share what I know in a fun way using humor, that it worked. So I was able to connect with kids and give them information using humor and using pictures, and that worked well. And I thought to myself, wow, this is pretty cool. I went into advertising first. I was a copywriter and then a creative director, but I found that I spent most of my time trying to convince people to buy stuff they didn't need. And
yes.
That just started, that was kind of soul destroying at a point. So I thought, you know what do I love doing? I love drawing and writing and making stories. So I decided to give that a go. And luckily for me, I've been doing it for 30 something years.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, I thought you were going to say you were going to be a teacher or something, because you give that vibe that you would make an excellent kindergarten teacher or something.
Yeah, I've got to hand it to teachers, though. I don't think I'd be able to have the patience to be able to, manage 30 kids at one time. One-on-one is just perfect for me.
Yeah, my sister is a teacher. She teaches 4-year-olds, pre-K 4, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it. You got that special gene that I didn't get.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I would be like, I would never be able to do 30 kids at once.
Yeah.
Or I'd be teaching them a lot of words they're not allowed to hear.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you what I have found I'm able to do, though, is do an assembly for kids, like in an auditorium.
Right.
Goodness me, I've done 1,200 of those, at least in the last 10 years, and spoken to almost 1 million kids. So doing school assemblies just for that 1 hour when I can be silly and share information, then that works well.
Very good. And tell me a little bit about the books that you have out now that are geared towards the little ones.
So there are a few different styles of books that I do. I do picture books, which I illustrate, which are really fun. Silly little books like The Boy Who Swallowed a Rainbow or Under the Big Sky being one of them, about searching for the secret of life and realizing your journey is the secret of life. And then I have a whole series of self-help books for kids. How to do homework without throwing up. Bullies are a pain in the brain. Stress can really get on your nerves. What on earth do you do when somebody dies? Taking the out of divorce, that kind of stuff. So taking some very serious topics like grief, like divorce, like trauma, and saying, okay, how do we look at this and how do we control it instead of it controlling us? And using humor to look at it through a different lens, basically.
Where were you when I was a kid? Like, I could have used some of these books, like the bullying book and the book about homework and anxiety. I could have used all this.
Yeah, me too. That's why I wrote it for the little me. I go back to being that guy, and I put my arm around him, the little Trevor, and I say, dude, you know what? You're gonna be okay. You know, you're sitting in the corner. I'm dyslexic and struggled with ADD. So was told I was a fool and an idiot, and I sat in the corner often. But my whole intent in life is to prove those people who told me that I was dumb and a loser that not so. I'm gonna be okay.
Nice, nice. Now, do you have kids or anything, or?
I forgot to have kids. I was so busy having fun and making all these movies and books and stuff that I forgot. But no, I wasn't. I wasn't lucky enough to have children. Um, I believe, though, that if I did have my own kids, I wouldn't be able to work with terminally ill kids and kids who are struggling with trauma, because I would really put my own kids' sort of images in that situation. And I've been with many children who passed away, 47 throughout my career, and I don't believe I'd be able to have done that important work if I'd had my own kids. So I'm just really, really lucky that I've got lots and lots and lots of other kids who I get to spend time with and share what I've learned with. They're just not my own.
They're very lucky to have you, these kids. And what would you say was the biggest challenge of your career? Because even though you're an amazing man, I can imagine it doesn't come without some challenges.
Oh, definitely. Trying to get my first book published. Goodness, I had over 400 rejections on my first books for years. Nobody was interested. People, especially books like How to Do Homework Without Throwing Up or What on Earth Do You Do When Somebody Dies, they said, oh no, those probably won't work. And the challenge was trying to get people to stream the vision that I was foreseeing. And so that's really hard sometimes for a creative person when you don't have something concrete in front of them to be able to help them see what you're seeing. And I found that really difficult. And the other part that was really difficult is I grew up in South Africa. Left South Africa, obviously, because I didn't like, well, not obviously, I left South Africa because I didn't like what was going on there racially and because of apartheid. And coming to another country by myself and trying to start a new life at 30 years old when I came here was difficult. And so I would say that those have been the two challenges that have been really difficult is being away from family on another continent and trying to convince people to see stuff that they can't see.
Well, you're an amazing man.
Oh, thank you very much. I am. Nelson Mandela. There's a saying that people are people through other people, and I have worked with incredible people and amazing collaborations that have helped me to move my career forward. Certainly wasn't me by myself, that's for sure.
And what would you say was the most rewarding part about your career so far?
Oh, goodness. The letters I get from kids, especially children who have done something that's very simple that I've suggested that's helped them deal with maybe something that's very, very difficult. And do I have time to tell you a very quick story?
Yes, tell.
Okay. So this is the reward and the lessons and why I do what I do. I was with a little boy who was dying of cancer, and we were at the hospital, and he turned around to me and very, very sincerely asked me, what's going to happen when I die? So I was about to answer him when his mother jumped off the chair. She ran over and she said, you are not going to die. We have spent $375,000 to keep you alive. You will not die. And he goes, oh, okay, Mom. Well, his mother left the room a few minutes later, and I said to him, Victor, we're all going to die one day. I'm going to die. You're going to die. He said, I know. I'm not stupid. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, I want to know. So when you die, do you go to heaven? I said, look, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping there's a place we can go after death. He goes, he said, oh, yeah, I believe that too. I said, oh, cool. He said, do you think they'll give you a map when you get up there? how do you know where to go? And I said to him, I said, that's a really good question. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I'll bet you that when you get there, there's going to be somebody there who's going to show you around, you know. And he said, he sort of got a little worried. He said, well, how do I know who to find? I said, don't worry. So I took out my journal and I drew a picture of my grandfather. My grandfather was a lovely man, great guy, passed away many years ago. But I know that he's the kind of guy that would have taken this kid under his wing and said, come on, I'll get you checked in. I'll get you a good room. I'll show you where to go. So I give him this picture of my grandfather and he looks at it and he smiles. He said, he looks like a nice man. I said, he is a lovely man. When you pass away, if you pass away from this disease, when you get there, you ask for him. His name is Ted. Promise you will take care of you. So he takes this picture of my grandpa. He puts it on the little cork pinning board next to his bed. And every time I come in the room, and I tease him, he points to his grandpa. He says, I'm going to tell your grandpa you're teasing me, okay, when I see him. I'm like, no, don't tell him. I don't want him to be disappointed in me. So anyway, unfortunately, he passed away about 6 months later. His parents asked me if I would please come to the church and deliver the eulogy.
Oh, wow.
I said, okay. And I decided I was going to do a stand-up comedy routine instead of doing a standard memorial. So I got all my material ready because he was a very, very naughty boy. He was so mischievous. So I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I went to the church, and unfortunately, it was an open casket ceremony. And I didn't want to see that little boy lying in his coffin. So I didn't look. I skirted around and went and sat in my pew. They wheeled in the coffin. They put it next to the pulpit, and people came up and they said their thing. They did their little memorials, and then they asked me to come and deliver the eulogy. And so I walked up, and I didn't look in the coffin. I didn't want to see him. And I said, this little boy changed my life. And as I looked over, I saw him lying in the coffin. His hands were on his chest. All his toys were in his coffin, and the flowers and his teddy bear from when he was little. And that little boy, in his hand, he was holding that picture of my grandfather. And I realized that the smallest things can make the biggest difference. All that little boy needed at that time was validation. He needed somebody to be with him with what he was feeling. And by doing a simple drawing that was not a very good one, I was able to connect very deeply with that little boy and give him hope, even though it wasn't hope on this plane or in this life. And that's the kind of reward, and that's the kind of reason I do this work, is because of the validation I get from the universe that I'm doing the right thing. And it really helps me to look at life and value what we have and not get sucked into the nonsense that is going on and around that we carry, which is not even our burden to carry, you know.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
How old was he?
12.
Oh, God.
11 or 12.
Oh, God. He
Very
was so
naughty boy.
lovely.
Yeah, he was. He was so mischievous. He caused so much trouble in the hospital, but he got a lot of leeway, you know.
Of course.
Yes, of course he did. But you know, a lesson in us realizing so often, because people always think they have to do something really big to change or rock the world. It's just sometimes, you know, today it's as simple as a little check mark in a voting booth. You know, for me, It was a little drawing of a grandfather. There was a stick figure. So it doesn't have to be a big, earth-shattering thing that we do to change someone else's life. Sometimes it's just being there with them and being empathetic as opposed to sympathetic. You know?
Wow, that was beautiful. Wow. Okay, so I like to ask my people I interview is, tell me a fun fact about yourself that might surprise people.
Ooh, a fun fact. Wow. That's a lovely question. A fun fact is that I can do good impersonations of other accents.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
You don't want me to do it now, or too much I do it later.
Okay.
I can do it now.
Okay, go for it.
No, 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 I can't do it for you. It's so hard to try and be my grandfather, you know. It's very difficult.
Oh gosh.
I don't know, you know, because after Yoko came along, everything just changed totally, you know. Anyway, so that's an interesting fact.
I like that. I like that. And since we're also a TV site, what are you watching on TV these days?
So I just finished watching the latest Ozark, which I enjoy very much. And I love watching Call the Midwife, which is a beautiful British TV series, which is beautifully filmed and a lot of very interesting information about London in the 1960s, late 50s.
Wow.
That's
Very good.
just finished.
Good, good. And where can we all find your books?
My books are at trevorromain.com, and there's no E on Romain, although I was called Lettuce Head my whole life at school. It's trevorromain.com.
Okay.
And they're on Amazon and your usual places of where books are found. But trevorromain.com is a good funnel for our music, our videos. I have a video series based on my books, an animated series, which was on PBS. And that's even available on iTunes for $1.99, cheaper than coffee. So
I like it. I like it. I'm going to send it to my sister, definitely.
Oh, great. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, because she's a teacher and she teaches little ones. Which I know she'll get a kick out of that. And Trevor, thank you so much for taking the time today. I sure do appreciate you.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure anytime. And thank you for helping people like me share our messages and our stories, because you know, when a person dies, their library of stories dies with them. So unless we can share our stories and experiences so that other people can be inspired or benefit from them, we wouldn't be able to do it unless people like you help us get there. So I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Good luck with everything. And I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
I hope so.
Thank you. Bye.
You're very welcome. Cheers.
Cheers.